Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 2 Cents Podcast by Rabbi Ari and Yossi Ben Shushan. In this episode, we called it The Good and Bad of Technology. In this episode, I'm kind of really pumped for this one because we're going to talk about all the different influencers that you have coming across social media. Look, there are positives, there are negatives. We're going to definitely cover them. We're going to talk about how to make our younger audiences aware of how they're kind of giving up their own free will to choose things when they're being influenced 24/7 from every area that they didn't possibly imagine. We're going to discuss how it affects how they communicate with people. We're going to get into, honestly, using technology for the pluses today because technology is in our lives and we're going to have to figure out how to make it positive. This episode is sponsored in honor of and in the schus for the Katz family. And our official sponsor, Yad La'achem of the 2 Cents Podcast. Yad La'achem, the name is synonymous with saving Jewish lives, and we feel very fortunate that we're able to be a part of helping them help save the lives of trapped Jewish women and children. Check out the website for our listeners made specifically for this podcast. Give a look. SaveAWorld, SaveAWorld.org to see how you can save a world. And Yossi and I, we're going to be speaking about this later in the podcast. And now, enjoy the 2 Cents Podcast. Hi, everybody. This is Ari Ben Shushan.
And this is Yossi Ben Shushan.
And this is the 2 Cents Podcast.
Brought to you and powered by Meaningful Minute.
All right. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Here we are.
Here we are. This is a big one. Ari, there's going to be a big one.
The 2 Cents Podcast.
This is going to be a big one. I can feel it.
No. Yes, what are we talking about today?
This is an important one.
Let me hear.
We're talking about the technologia.
Technologia. Wow. For those who don't, that means technology. The good, the bad, and everything in between of the technological revolution. Oh, wow. Our grandfather used to call TV the idiot box. You know.
Right.
That's where technology started.
I wish. Right. And let's start in the beginning here. You know, really try to envision your life without any technology, right? It's not real. It's not a real way to live anymore at all. You know, you need to have technology in your, people now who even have a kosher phone that has texting and a flip phone with texting. That used to be the usher technology. That used to be the technology that everybody was against, you know, and now just so much has changed. Rabbi Berkowitz was saying, he was like, you know, the world in the past 5 years, 10 years, is a completely different place to exist. No one had a phone not when I was a kid. When I was a bacher, barely anyone had a phone. You got a phone when you got married. What do you need a phone for before that? Why did you need a phone before that? It was a novel idea. So nowadays technology though has not only played a deep role. It's starting to get it. Not starting. It's also playing a very intrusive role, an extremely intrusive role. You know, I think I heard a comedian one time say there was never such a thing as my phone. There was just the phone. It sat lonely against a wall somewhere.
Ringing on
and when no one was home, it would ring for hours on end.
That's it.
That was the...
we grew up with that rotary phone on the wall.
That
was it.
You know?
Did I
all the way around.
You know, yes, it's interesting. This just hit me now. It's quite interesting. In the beginning of creation, there was the snake in the Garden of Eden that would go and tempt Adam. And in the beginning of technology... Oh, no. There was the snake on the old Nokia phones that would be... that would begin to go and to tempt man into the... And so... You know,
that was the beginning of the fall.
The response of the Jewish world, and it's not just to technology. Rav Berkowitz explained that the response to anything that was new, since the Enlightenment movement of the 1700s, the response to anything new was always suspect. Yidden didn't know, where is this going? Rav Berkowitz told us that Hasidim didn't have microwaves in their houses for years because it's shtus, and that's not shtus, it's just different. But the Hasidim have come around to the microwave. And so Yiddishkeit started out with this suspectful not allowing for it to come in because we try to keep our borders and our barriers set very strong against outside influences. But yes, we live in a world today that, like you said, is just unacceptable anymore. It's just, it's impossible. You can't fly in an airplane. Right. It's just nothing that happens. We were in Florida recently. We couldn't park the car without a parking app. You couldn't physically park your car anywhere. So it became the reality that the world has decided to go along with. But yes, let's just take this from a point of view. So you start off about, I don't know, your feelings, your outlook on technology today. Like, what do you think?
So first of all, we both. I mean, I have such a massive hakaras. I have a love-hate relationship with technology, and I think it's like anything. The Rambam brings up in Hilchas Tshuva the concept of balance. Everything's balance, especially anything that has power. The object of life is to strike a balance. It's not. I don't think it's good to say all bad or all good. It's you got to figure things out. You gotta work it through. And to come out all good or all bad against something, it's just not going to work. You're gonna be an extremist, and you're not gonna be able to pass that down to another generation. It's balance that speaks to people. Balance is MS. So that having been said, there are certain things that like I owe technology. So I owe technology a good part of my living and a good part of the effect that I have. I'm saying, I get emails. I'm sure you also. I get emails from a 15-year-old Hasidish girl in Muncie. That I don't even know how she's emailing me, but a 15-year-old Hasidish girl in Muncie with these deep questions about things that she's been through and, what type of therapist do you go to? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, how in the world does this girl even know I exist? It's unreal, the far reach. You get messages from Tokyo. You get messages from all these crazy far out places that Torah is getting to. And so for me personally, also in my personal life, right, I'm at Rabbi Berkowitz's shir every single day. I moved to America and I get to be at his Perkei Avos shir, at his Hashkafa shir every single day. It's amazing. And that's amazing. And
if you weren't, we have it on I'm not going to say more, but there is a way that's online to go and see them afterwards, to go pick up.
Yeah, to go see them afterwards, right? Yeah, if you weren't there, that you can
say it better. I'm by Rav Berkowitz's shir for the past 15 years that they have.
Right.
I'm
very good. Yeah,
I'm by his shir in 2001 also. If I wanted, all his morals and all of Torah, we have recorded. Yep. So, I'm sorry.
It's a great point. So for me, the hakaras hatov that I have to technology is to the creation of technology. That the Rabbeinu Shalom did create, by the way. I think a lot of people are misconstrued about that. That I have a tremendous hakaras hatov to it. The amount of, I'm saying, you got to realize like there's a depth. People also don't. There are websites people could go to get information that have saved lives. I'm talking about like in the mental health world, emailing therapists, being able to Zoom with a therapist instead of going there. Like certain things have really saved people's lives.
Winning an argument if it's pronounced almond or almond.
Right.
No, but yeah, but on a serious note though, 100%.
Yeah, no, but that's aside from like so many other things, the amount of vocational things that kids get to do, the learning that gets to happen. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yossi,
it really
could you
it's
imagine,
incredible what's out there.
Can you imagine what the world would have looked like last year when the pandemic hit if there wasn't Zoom for schools?
That's what I'm trying to say. That's exactly my point.
I'll tell you exactly what it would look like because I know of a certain school that a relative of ours was sending their kids to, and the school refused to do Zoom initially. By the way, they eventually did Zoom. For the first few weeks, no, we don't do Zoom. And I got a hilarious little video of this relative of mine, their child, their 10-year-old. So they were doing everything on phone, So the kid had the house phone in his back pocket. And the kid was like zooming around in his front yard on his little razor or whatever. And you hear his Rebbe saying, and the kid's like, and the whole thing is just ala panim because they didn't have that.
Right. Right. That's aside from, medicine, like all these things that technology has increased, has been amazing, has really, really been amazing. And I think,
I'm sorry, but my chances of being alive right now, I remember by stem cell transplant that I had, if they didn't have, they were saying to me, this is newer technology that we were able to sit and figure out. And if not for, go ahead. There are so many instances that pop into the mind.
No, but but I'm even focusing on where a lot of the negative light is being shown on things like the internet, on things like grandparents being able to see grandkids, just so many different things. The amount of crowds we're able to reach because of Zoom right now, the amount of so many different things that are unbelievable about the internet, and that maybe I'll get killed for it, but I'm sorry. I think we really owe a very big hakar satayv to the Rabbanu Shalom for giving us this. Yeah, how has learning become this easy? What can you not find online in learning? It's addictive. It's addictive in every language you can want.
People don't realize that the internet has become mechayev us so much more. Meaning, I'm not sure what we're going to say in Shemayim after 120 years. You go up and they'll be like, you actually could have learned all of Shas, Bavli, Yerushalmi. Yes, I'm on the Daf Yomi app. Start to say which apps, whatever. Why not? Let's give it all Daf, an incredible app. And I have, I'm going to use the word, I'm going to plethora. Of so many different shiurim, but beyond the shiurim, just the amount of you can become a goyin adir, and it's all things. Yeah. I think Torah Anytime. Let's give them a shout out because let's face it, that's the most hakar satayv possible of being able to reach the world. And their slogan, has such a value to what it is we're talking about right now. Their slogan is Torah Anytime.
Do you know what prep?
Yes, hold on, but you got. Cover to the slogan.
No, go for it.
God's reason.
You lagged on my earpiece.
God's reason for making the internet.
No. Right. God's reason for the internet. It's 100%. It's unreal. You know what prep time and preparing a speech has become due to the internet? It's amazing. It's amazing. Any topic you want. I'm not talking about for us. I'm talking about for someone else to prepare for a simcha. Someone else to prepare for any topic you want, on any parsha you want, on anything you want. You go out there and find. How many people are learning things they would never, Zera Shimshon, how many people are learning things that they never would have been able to learn before, that they never would have had access to before?
WhatsApp groups.
That are out there.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
or any.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're and the Biederman.
The amount of people wearing tefillin.
Would you know if Eli Malach Biederman Shlita?
No one would.
I'm saying, but
how many people out there? Yeah.
But his awesomeness and what he's given to Klal Yisrael by spreading that Torah out, nobody can actualize what it is, and
the tzitzis groups. Yeah. On WhatsApp, the tefillin groups on WhatsApp.
The tefillin groups.
I'm saying it's amazing. It really is amazing. But I think you brought up a very good point, by the way. There's a certain machayev to it that you got to realize you don't have to carry around the masechta you're doing anymore, so that when you're online in the supermarket, you could learn it then. You just plug in. When I don't have time, I do. I'm also on All Daf. I do. But when I don't have time, he has like a 15-minute to do the whole daf, and he does it inside.
Rabbi Resnick.
That whole daf. I forgot his name.
This is the other Resnick.
Rabbi Resnick.
It's the other Resnick.
The other one. Yeah.
And he's just Yossi. That guy's a talent.
He's unreal.
What a talent.
That's an unbelievable talent. That really is.
I want to find out. Does he record and then he talks so fast and so clear? And the thing is,
but he's very clear.
He's and Yancy, very clear. The world never would have had the gift from him, from Rev Eli, that now thousands and thousands of people listening to. Yeah. He's hilarious.
Ari, did you ever do Rabbi Rosner's Nach?
Oh wow! Yeah, yes.
It changed my life. It changed my life
because of him. I went out and I bought the whole Nach, and I'm going through now with my kids on Shabbos because of him.
I'm telling you, it has changed my life. It's unreal. It's unreal what technology has been able to do. That having been said, are there pitfalls?
So I'm sure the whole world understands what it is that we're saying here with the positivities. But yes, before the pitfalls, I just want to use this lashon. A lot of times people, feel that there may be a b'diavad Jew for using technology to learn. And I want to say right here and now, you are not a B'diavad Jew if what you're doing is that you're going online and Keseder, you have a consistency in a shir or Torah or things that you're listening to. That is the lechatchila now of 2021. That's where we live to keep that consistency going. It certainly is, because certain people feel a little bit like either they're cheating or they feel, you know what? Use everything you got. You know, they teach in survival things. When I was in the Navy SEALs, yes, when I was in the Navy SEALs, they used to teach us in the Navy SEALs, use everything you have in your environment to destroy your enemy, and certainly use everything you have in your environment to destroy your Yetzer Hara. And
it's the Yetzer Hara. No, it's the Yetzer Hara that puts that idea in people's heads.
Idea.
He's like, oh no, you're a nobody. See, if you're really, then you'd be doing the real. You'd be doing the real one. You'd be doing the real. Like I'm learning from Ephraim Waxman right now. Who do you want me to go to? Like who you ask me to sit on? You know, it's a crazy idea for anyone to think that someone is b'diavad, because and that's aside from the fact that you have laymen, you have people who are, you know, working, who take out that time to sit there and do the daf or do whatever it is, you know, through Torah and time, or just have it playing in the background. It's so beautiful. That's so amazing.
Yep. There are full families.
You know, there's no question.
There are whole families that used to watch shows, who now watch Torah Anytime stuff together, and it's really beautiful. Yeah. Okay, yes. So now let's go to the flip side.
That's the best email to get. Yeah.
Let's go to the flip side. Yes. On the flip side, I do want to say this, because I am asked this sometimes, Rabbi, is it better for me to go to, let's say, a Daf Yomi shir in person versus listening to it online? Meaning, I just got done saying that it's not b'diavad lechatchila. My answer to that is that if in a crystal ball you can show me the future, that in 7.5 years you went to that live Daf Yomi all the time, I would say better go to the live than it is to listen, because anything better is to listen to the person and you can ask questions, you get involved in it. Of course, it's better live. But I think that if we look in that crystal ball, we'll see very, very fast how many people would have fallen out from the live share after a Masechta or two, even before that, whereas staying on with the consistency of technology, that would get them through so much further.
Right. I agree, but I don't want to underplay the strength of the klal learning together, of the kehillah learning together. There is something. I remember that video of Rami Markowitz showed us of those guys learning together in the morning in that
I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah.
You're not getting that. You're not getting that on an app.
Right.
So you gotta, and by the way, and it's funny because I think people are trying to tick boxes. Like, I did my learning today. No. If you have the ability to go to a kollel and learn every single night, or learn twice a week in a kollel, or learn whatever it is, you know, in a working person's kollel, whatever it is, 6 a.m., whatever it is. No. You go do that. And you do your daf online.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
You have more opportunities right now to add learning into your life. That doesn't, one doesn't cancel out the other.
I got to tell you something beautiful. On the 8-minute daf with Reb Eli Stefanski on the old daf has thousands of people. They started to do chesed for each other on his virtual community. There was one guy who was sitting shiva, and a Hasidic Shia drove 4 hours to go be Menachem Avel him, and he found out that his child wanted to have a certain kind of a surfboard, and somebody else went and bought it and sent it. But Maisim B'Kol Yom. So you do both. The answer is that if you can go and you can learn inside the kollel, you do that, and you get that kol of Torah, and you get that camaraderie in person. And at the same time, you can also go, like you're saying, online as well. So, but now, yes, we do have to talk about the certain misgivings and the certain downfalls, because we don't want people to fall into it either.
It.
So, let's talk about really. We can go into the communication skills. We can talk about the influencers. What do you think?
So, okay, I'm just gonna go personally. It's, you know, this is about me speaking, I think. So, I'm gonna go personally. I'm gonna say my I guess sort of opinions. One of them's not an opinion. One of them's straight from Rebbe, and I think that one's really, really important because I thought it was gorgeous. He got up at a Asifa one time when he's technology. And everyone was speaking about the pitfalls of the internet and how, the kids could see this or you could see that, or it's one click, one pop-up, one. Rabbi Berkowitz got up and he said so beautifully, he was like, let's leave all that alone for a second. He's like, forget it. Imagine there was none of that on the internet somehow, right? Or you have the perfect filter. He said, what about the time? Forget all that, just the time. The time you spend doing nothing. The time you spend wrapped up in nothing. My big pet peeve with the internet, and this is from working with people who have fallen to the internet as an addiction and the like, and I'm still saying, this is my biggest pet peeve with the internet, more than kids seeing inappropriate things, more than adults seeing inappropriate things, more than getting addicted to anything, more than social media, is the news. I hate the news. I hate the news on the internet. These people, because they don't just get addicted to it. They don't just lose their lives to it. They develop and form opinions based on it. They have developed and formed false messiahs because of it. They drive themselves and their families insane.
And yes, it gives a green light. It gives a green light to hate.
Yeah. Insane. You completely and absolutely open your hands to someone else telling you how to believe everything. Because the second it's a news person saying it, or the second it's a personality of that type saying it to you, you believe it automatically. And they just go in and they forward it, and they forward that poison everywhere. You're not going to find that so much with the average, twisted influencer on some platform somewhere. Someone will pay attention for themselves and maybe get taken over, and it's bad. We're going to get to that in a minute. But for me, my number one pet peeve are the news fiends on the internet. The people who are creating this fear-mongering a society of things. The second everyone, when everyone starts forwarding, that's it, I'm moving, I'm leaving, I'm going, that's it, I can never live here again. What are you doing? You're spreading fear for no reason. And stop saying you need to know what's going on in the world, because you don't know what's going on. You don't know more than I know about what's going on. If something happens, I'm going to know also. We're all going to know. The 9/11 happened before everyone was able to forward all this stuff, and somehow we all found out about it. Everyone's going to know when something happens. It's all of that stupidity that you feel adds up to something big, the connections that people make, because you have to understand something. These people are getting paid to have something on that screen. They're going to take whatever they can and make it sound interesting. That's their job. You're reading a Stephen King novel and you're using it as news, as reality. It's their job to package this a certain way, and you're allowing them that access into your home. For me, the news is the bane. It is the cancer of the internet.
Wow. Okay.
Personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely the concept of, because for Jews in particular, it's the idea of mikadesh atzmecha b'mutterlach, and being a novel b'rishus Torah. Just for the people who may not, let's translate that. The very famous, the Mefarshim tell us in Parshas Kedoshim to you, that we say, Mikadesh atzmecha b'mutterlach, make yourself holy in things that are even permitted to you. It is the things that are permitted to us that we end up rolling around in the mud with so much more, right? Point. So much more. And it's what the Ramban refers to as a menuvel b'rishus Torah, which is a perversion with the permission of the Torah, perversing your mind, perversing your time. If anybody would have the courage to look on their iPhone, they have something called screen time. If somebody had the courage to look on their iPhone at their screen time when it comes to their news apps, or it comes to things that they've spent time on, it's petrifying how many times you probably could have gone through Nach or done like Mishnayos by heart. And yes, I'm talking a lot about myself now, Sometimes I give a look at it
me too.
and I think to myself, oh my gosh, Ari, come on. You could have, I have all these svarim sitting on my shelf that I promised myself that I'm going to get to in life. And then I look at my screen time and I say, I really could have put a huge dent in the svarim, in the learning that I have. If I haven't, and what was I busying myself with? Things that are really just so simplistic, moronic, and honestly, mind-numbing. So certainly, yes, the news, but now let's go a little bit deeper. Yes, I don't want to talk about the perverse things, or those are too easy to point to.
I don't think there's a point. I don't think. I think they're objective. I think everyone knows that that's bad. That's it. It's just.
But just as the public service announcement,
it also didn't get invented with the internet, by the way. That has been around for a while.
But just for the public service announcement, I do, and I'm sure you do as well, agree that we have to have filters on our phones. My phone is filtered up the wazoo. My wife has all the codes and everything else, and that nobody should be walking around without it. That's something I just want to say it just in case somebody says,
no, 100%.
oh, the Benchushan boys are talking. Never said it. Of course you have to have that. But I want to now go.
And by the way, when you're talking about a filter, I also have filters, but I'll tell you why I have filters. What I tell myself so that the Yitzhar can't get to me this is my own shtick that I like to use on myself. It has nothing to do with the perversive or anything like that out there. I have filters on my phone for the time wasting aspect of it. I know if it's there, I'm going to start looking up things I don't necessarily really need to look, and I could go down a rabbit hole of watching two therapists debate about just things I don't need. That, like you just said, is mutter.
Yes.
It's completely mutter, but I just don't need. I could do something else with it, and if I have that filter and I can't access it, I'm going to put it down and talk to someone.
The first day that when I got my new phone, so Apple News was still on. The Apple News app was still on, and it came with some kind of a trial. One day, one day, I had it for one, and I went up to my wife. I said, Naomi, please lock this up now. I want my life back. It was just too much. Hey, everybody, we're going to get back to our episode in a minute talking about technology. But Yossi, I really, really want to talk about our incredible sponsor, Yad La'achem. Now, Yos, when it comes to technology, something I didn't know, Yossi. Something incredible. Are you ready for this? What Rabbi Gann just told me. We can get him on in a second. He told me that Yad La'achem, not just because there are so many hours in a day, so why should we spend them all saving women from the Arab villages with their children only, when we can also battle all of the cults and missionaries from around the world? They're trying to steal away Jewish souls. And Yossi, get this. The way that kids get sucked into it, the way that our children, get brought into these crazy cults and these very difficult missionary aspects is from technology. They get on an unfiltered phone, they start to follow something that looks really cool, and they end up there. So I want to say this, yes. I want to say people who are going to go on to saveaworld.org right now, and they're going to give money to try to help Yad La'achem stop this terrible onslaught of technology that is sucking our children into these cults and into these terrible missionary concepts. If you have a problem at home with technology, you know somebody has a problem, your own children, you want to keep them safe from technology, you give that money and you give it to Yad La'achem in the schus that through their power of saving so many Jewish souls from technology, in Shemayim they should come and they should save you from this terrible onslaught of technology as well. We asked, what do you think?
It's an incredible idea. It's an incredible concept. Everyone over there at saveaworld.org, I'm telling you, by Yad La'achem, it's really amazing. And I'm going to be honest with you, I dealt with one of these cases. This exact story. A woman calls me crying that her daughter is now speaking to missionaries in a cult because she got a phone and she got called in. It was a whole mess. It was a bunch of rabbis involved. I want to pass it over to Rav Nasanel because no one can explain the depth of this like he can. Rav Nasanel, tell us what's going on.
Thank you so much for having me on. And what Rav Ari said is really true. Obviously, with Hashem's help, you help save Jewish lives, and someone suffering in your own area, it'll be a schus for you. And not only with the missionaries and the cults, but unfortunately, a lot of the Jewish women that are trapped, they end up because of the issues with technology and unfiltered access and speaking to people they shouldn't be speaking to. And then, unfortunately, whether it's someone in a cult or a missionary, you have no idea what they're suffering. And someone who's in an Arab village, a young child, a young girl, they really, really suffer so much. I mean, sometimes we sit in that comfort, we don't imagine what life could be, but you imagine the vision of looking out of a jail cell. That's really what they're going through. So I want to thank Ari and all the people behind the 2 Cents podcast for coming together through Yad La'achem's website. We said specifically for this, saveaworld.org, saveworld.org, or calling 718-633-2340. I want to thank everyone who's gotten together and is keeping on to get together. The biggest chus should be a chus for you, for your family. Everyone should be safe from technology and healthy as well. Thank you for having us, and we look forward to more work together.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rav Nasanel. That's unbelievable. Again, the website is saveaworld.org. Get out there and help save these lives. Now back to our episode.
now that's where we have an intrusion of the news, which definitely shapes so many people. But now let's go into the concept of what children are seeing. Children, and when I say children, I mean 45-year-old children. I mean 60-year-old children. I mean 30-year-old children, because it makes no difference. When it comes to influencers, we're all influenced, Yossi. We're all influenced.
Right.
Lululemon pants.
Right.
That's it. We're influenced. That's just all there is to it. You know, it's gonna come. And I'm sure if Nachi's listening to this right now, he just laughed a little bit to himself. But it's the truth that we understand that we live in a world of influence. And finally, they even called themselves that without any kind of an unabashed way of saying, I am an influencer. You know, it used to be that maybe you had to dress it up, call yourself an anchorman, call yourself a podcaster, call yourself that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that the other day.
And now over here, you're just literally referring to yourself as the fact that I'm not going to let you form an opinion. Here's your opinion. Now take it and swallow it. You know, it comes from that. The concept of influencers coming along and giving to everybody their ideas. This is something else that we've discussed in the past with each other, and I think it's something that we really have to give. Yes, who is an influencer to you? Who is an influencer to me? So I'm going to say my influences really quick because it's not that. So, you know, my influence is the one who really helped shape my mind and my thinking. I'm going to say Abba for sure. I'm going to say my older brothers, Avi, Dovi. Certainly Rev Berkowitz, definitely up there. Rabbi Brown, Rev Moshe Brown. These are people who have my high school rebbe. I'm just like trying to, who is it where I am right now? And the things I constantly look back to quote, I'm talking about alive people, certainly the Ramchal, the Maral, but I'm talking about, you know, more the live people. Those have been my influences. Now, they never went and posted anything anywhere, but I went to look to find, to hear the Rabbi Per from Yeshiva Rockaway, to go and to hear, you know, their, and you'll see, I shudder to think, if when I was 18 and very influenceable, looking for guidance, looking for clarity, looking for light, and I had in the palm of my hand the ability to get influence from I'm not talking about influence from Goyim. I'm not talking about TikTok. I'm not talking about that kind of influence from Yidden who themselves aren't worked on like Rabbi Per, Rabbi Brown, or Rev Berkowitz, or Abba. People who themselves are still trying to find their way out. Mesilas Yesharim tells us all the way in the beginning, you have to climb that ladder higher because the only way you're going to let others know how to get out of the maze is if you are above the maze. We literally today have people who are still in the middle of the maze telling other people to take lefts and right turns when they themselves haven't figured the way out of it.
Yep. Without a question. You know, and I also, the other influences, because we need to be clear about, I realize we might have made a mistake in one of our previous episodes, and I think I've been making this mistake for years, where we quote, I want to be clear about this, where we quote comic books, or we'll quote a movie or a TV show, you need to understand something about all of that. So we made fun of it last time that it was like a little black and white box, or, you know, whatever it is, but you need to understand something deeper. We also were both in more or less out-of-town yeshivas at different times. That's weeks and weeks and weeks of nothing, of zero of that going on. Yeah, maybe you'll get a comic book here, a comic book, but that's it. And you read a comic and it's over. Like, you don't, you know, that's it. You're done. Like, you're talking about a half hour, a week, and then it's over. And the rest of the time, what are you doing? You're sitting there by a Rabbi Brown. You're sitting there by a Rav Asher Rubinstein. You're sitting there by the balance of influence is so much greater towards the other side. So it's not like, now with kids nowadays though, or with people nowadays, how much, like you said, go look. Someone told me the scariest story ever. He was with a 7th grade class and he was writing on the board. They made an incentive in the class that whoever has the least screen time at the end of the week, everyone's screen time was going to get written down. Whoever has the least screen time at the end of the week is going to get a certain prize or whatever, go on a trip or whatever it is. So the top 3 or something like that. So there's one kid who's like on his phone all day, was like, I could win. They're like, no, you can't. You're addicted. Da, da, da. He's like, nah, I could win. Sure enough, now no one speaks about it during the week. You don't show anyone your screen time during the week. At Friday, you hand in your phone, the rabbi checks the screen time and writes it down. Rabbi checks the screen time. Sure enough, this kid who said that he could do it, he gives in his phone, right? So one kid's this many hours. This kid doesn't even make it into like the top 3, top 5. Like he was towards the bottom of the whole class. So the rabbi's like, sorry, guy, kiddo, but your screen time is way too high. Sure enough, everyone leaves to lunch, and this kid's just sitting in his seat, just like in a shock. And the rabbi said to him, listen, you see that like it's a lot more than you imagine. It's a lot more time than you think. You even cut down this weekend. And he looked at him and he said, Rabbi, you don't understand. He said, what? He's like, I cheated. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, every day I would go home, and that's when I spent the brunt of my time on the phone. So I used my brother's old phone connected to the Wi-Fi in my house to do it so that my phone screen time will be less. I cheated. That number that you have up there is only really half the time I spent on my phone, which means my number is double. Wow. Which means I beat everyone in here screen time by like an insane amount. He's like, it can't be that that's what happened. And he's like, yeah, that's what happened. So the amount that this takes us over and hypnotizes us, like you said, influencers, it's such a scary term. It sounds like a bad guy on G.I. Joe. Yep. It's like, the influencers are coming. Yep. And like they take over everyone's brains and make them act like puppets or whatever it is. But that's what's happening. I had a 4-year-old girl in my house the other week that said to me that she's going to be an Instagram influencer for I'll just make something up, for socks or something, for cute shoes or something. This was her aspiration. This is a Jewish girl. This is her aspiration. This is what she wants to do. Like, it's become, and these people, when they put these things out there, they're not just telling you, like, I remember there was one guy, you and I actually both used to follow this, and I'm not going to say his name, used to follow him because he had these very intellectual concepts on studying a comedy or studying a book or studying a thing, and as I'm listening to him, I start to realize, I'm like, wow, this guy has some very messed up views. Like, he was just saying his take on behind the scenes, but it wasn't. Like, he kept really bad-mouthing God, like a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? And these things get into your head, and they really change you, and we're allowing it to happen. I was telling my guys the other week, there's a therapy called EMDR therapy. I always forget what it stands for, but EMDR therapy, where they flash lights and they move things around, your eyes move. They pay millions of dollars to learn how to do this, to get the right lighting and the right flashing and the right cuts and the right cuts and the right cuts to keep you hypnotized. They're completely taking over your brain. You're dressing like an idiot because this guy told you to do it. Sneakers are the big thing now. People will pay $10,000 for a pair of sneakers that someone drew on. It's like, why? Because they went through the store and they did the whole thing. They will convince you of anything. Anything.
Yes. Well, one second. To be fair, though, to certain influencers, there are some good yidden out there that have beautiful content, that they give off certain concepts of emunah, certain beautiful feelings about life, certain, and though, yes, they're good, I think, for downtime. They're good as what I would like to call an initiation to do something. Yes, right. We are powered right now by the Meaningful Minute. And the Meaningful Minute, I think, is amazing. Everybody knows that the Meaningful Minute literally revolutionized. The greatest form of flattery is mimicry, or people just doing what you're doing and so many other people try to do. I don't think they can do on the level of Meaningful Minute. But, I was saying to Nachi, the founder of Meaningful Minute, that when we first met, he's like, I'm the Meaningful Minute guy. So first I wanted to punch him because I'm like, you took a lot of my speeches and you chopped them up in a certain way. But I said to him, I just got to tell you something. The Meaningful Minute is beautiful and it's great and brings a lot of inspiration. A lot of people send in a lot of beautiful notes about it, and that's really wonderful. But the Meaningful Minute is great when it's a springboard to something greater, to more learning. If there's somebody who learns for 60 seconds the whole day from the Meaningful Minute and that's it, and you've got your fill of your v'higisa bo yom v'layla of toiling in Torah day and night. So then, no, you didn't. You did not get your fill. It's supposed to be something where you challenge yourself, a reality that you look into it and you say, wow, I never saw that point of view before, or wow, life isn't that bad. Life is amazing, and I should be doing so much more with it. It's supposed to give a certain spark and an energy to get to something greater. So it's something that we shouldn't feel that we had our fill with. Rather, it's something that we're supposed to go. So if you have a great influencer on Instagram or someplace that is giving over beautiful stuff, that's saying beautiful things to people, giving over great emunah or giving over such great feelings, you're supposed to use that, but not as your only influence. That's supposed to be combined, and just make sure that you got it right. Make sure that you have a Rebbe. Make sure that you have somebody you can go to afterwards and say, I heard this concept. Does this fall in line with Torah values? I get this question now a lot more, and I'm beginning to respect this question from a lot of other people who message me or email me and say, I heard somebody say this concept. Is this a Torah concept? And I'm very happy that they sent me this, because you're right. This has to be filtered through these ideas.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I gave this is one of the things that really opened my eyes up to it, because I honestly I'm talking a little bit unknowledgeable here, because uneducated, because I never had Instagram, and I don't have any Snapchat or TikTok or any of these things, and I just don't. So I don't really understand all of it fully, completely, and I'll be the first to admit that I will. But so I always thought to myself, I'm like, just people will still form their own opinions after this. Like, no one's going to just, and then it was about 2 summers ago, I think I gave a speech somewhere, 3 summers ago, 4, I don't even know. I gave a speech somewhere, and someone on Instagram had a problem with the sign that went out. Now, I don't make the signs. I don't even see the signs. I don't care about the signs. But someone made a sign.
Just explain yourself. What do you mean? Meaning that you were giving a speech, and somebody made a flyer.
I'm staying vague here on purpose. And someone made a flyer. A flyer to go out. Okay. Like one of these things that you get on WhatsApp. Rabbi Ben Shushan.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking alongside Rabbi Wallerstein.
Right.
Singing alongside Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson.
Oh, and alongside Rabbi Shach.
Right. Yeah. That's right. So the alongside the Lubavitch. Okay. So at the end of the day, they had a problem with the sign. I don't know, they had a problem with the sign. And someone messages me, they're like, oh, this person has a problem with your sign. I'm like, okay, I don't know that person. I don't, who are they? Now, he just called the person by their handle on these things. I think that's what it's called, handle or screen name or whatever. Called him by that. So let's say the person's name was, Big Trees in Muncie. Okay, let's say. So he's like, Big Trees in Muncie has a problem with your sign. I'm like, is that the name of a country singer? Like, I don't understand. Why do I care if that person? Is it because it's not a rabbi's handle, right? Because then his name would be Rabbi Y.Y. Jacob. I don't know, like whatever. And they're like, "Oh no, you don't know." I'm like, "You're right. Please, inform me." They're like, "They have a lot of followers." I'm like, "Okay, is it a cult? Is this a cult thing? Like, should I hide my family? Like, is this like, are they gonna come down my block and start killing people?" They're like, "No. On Instagram, they have a lot of followers." I'm like. Okay, so what? So he's like, they're giving you a lot of hate on their thing, and their followers are saying, I'm like, okay. I mean, if their followers know who I am, they know it's stupid. If they don't know who I am, okay, whatever it is. They're like, oh no, it doesn't matter. They're all gonna believe whatever this person said. I'm like, no, they're not. Unless it is a cult, unless that's what you're saying. And he's like, no. Yossi, this is how the world works right now. They're all going to believe whatever this person put out there to say to them, and they're going to hate you for it. I'm like, honestly, if they've literally shrunk their brains to that size and handed it over to another human being like that, I could care less. I honestly could care less, and bury me under a rock somewhere. Because if that's where we're going, I can't be with those people. So that's the first time I started to realize what type of effect these people can have. Is they can go the other way. By the way, in like you said before, in a frum persona.
And,
in a front persona, they can knock down a shear that had nothing to do with what they were offended by, even.
Yep.
That had nothing to do with any of it. So it was a joke to me. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny. But at the end of the day, it's also super sad,
super true.
that people are gonna allow themselves that opening, are gonna allow themselves that concept. And the biggest fear for me on things like this is that it becomes something to become. So it's all a lie, right? If I were able to only put out 30-second clips of me for the rest of my life, right? I can always look good. I'll never mess up. I'll never stutter. I'll never screw up on a speech. I'll never miss a punchline. I'll never anything.
And
I can just record that 30 seconds 100 times over.
And your kids are smiling on the trip and just everything. Yeah, the sun is always sunny on the vacation. Yeah.
So now what's going to happen? No one's ever going to become a speaker again because they're all going to be looking at me and being like, well, I can never do that. I mean, it's so perfect. It's so this. It's so that. No, it's not. No, it's not. And these people talk with such confidence and such definitiveness about what they're talking about. They don't know what they're saying. A lot of them don't know what they're saying. You got to be able to question these things. And if you're going to be putting yourself in harm's way like that, it's very bad. It's very bad because people start questioning their own lives. They start comparing things. It's really, really dangerous.
So just two things over here that I just realized. The Mishnah tells us that kina, kavod, tava, these are things that yarden olam min ha'olam.
Right?
Motzina min ha'olam. Thank you. And really, Instagram and everything else is kina. You know, it's mom is watching. You know, everybody and everything.
That's a great
It's
part.
covered because that's what everybody starts, right? So everybody else starts a.
Mine.
And it's taiva, you know, you lust everything that you're seeing of it, all these different things. And it literally, it takes him out of his normalcy. It takes him out of like whatever could possibly be the correct mahalach hachayim. But yes, I just want to say now, we kind of painted ourselves into a corner and we have to get ourselves out of that corner, which goes like this. You and I both said, we don't have Instagram, we don't have TikTok, we don't have these things. I think at that moment, a lot of people said, oh, so they don't know anything, meaning like, oh, they're just being rabbis on the outside who have no. So I think we do have to tell people, and we're running towards the end of this one already. Wow, this one went fast, but I think we have to explain to people.
Oh, it's very simple.
Yeah, we do have to explain to people. Yeah, but right away they'll count us out. We have to explain to people right away that even if a fireman's house never burnt down, he understands the dangers of fire, you know. We have seen, yes, I remember there was a kid in camp that we used to be in very many years ago, that the kid came to camp that day with an iPad, and we're going to Great Adventures. The mother called the camp, and the mother told me that my son is not allowed to take the iPad on the trip. For whatever reason, I don't want him to have, so I said that you shouldn't have, okay, you know, but he had it. The whole camp piles onto the buses. Yes. Terrible story. And I call over the kid and I said to him, kiddo, your mother called and she said, you can't, so just leave the iPad. I'll lock it inside my thing. You know, and when you come back, kid said, no, I need to have the iPad. I said, look, you know, kiddo, it's only an hour and a half to Great Adventures. You have friends on the bus, you know, whatever it is. He's like, no. And he walked off the bus and he sat down by the steps, just, you know, in the middle over there. And I went up to him and I'm trying to talk to him, but he's just looking at, and he's trying to get into the internet code of the school, like where we were. And he was not getting into it. So he didn't even have internet on the thing. He just had games and stuff. And I said to him, look, kiddo, the bus is waiting for you. Come on, just. It's like, no, I can't. And I said, you don't even have internet. You're not even going in. He's like, I'm not. I'm like, is this about your mother? Because I'll call and I'll tell her next time. No, I'm not. And I said, please tell me, what is it? He was in 10th. He was 10 years old. And he said, Rabbi, everybody else on that bus has a phone or an iPad. It's not right that I don't get to sit. And I can't sit. I said, you're going to miss Great Adventures. You're going to miss the roller coasters. You're going to miss being with your friends. I can't. Forget the influencers. Forget TikTok and Instagram for a second. It's a revolution within our children that it's their right hand, it's their left hand. It's a part of their being. It's a part of their reality. So number one, from an educator's standpoint, both of us see not just the addiction it's the downright necessity that we're driving into our kids from ourselves, from the parents having to have it the whole time. And then going into the particulars, what we deal with on a daily basis from the fallout of Instagram and TikTok and all these other things that we get emails and calls about all day. We're the firemen. We know very much about the fire. Yeah, what were you going to say, us?
I'm going to take it a step further, especially with the firemen. What do you call it? I don't not have TikTok or Instagram or any of these things because I wouldn't find it interesting. I'm sure I'd find it hilarious. I'm sure I would get so many awesome things on there. I don't trust myself with that. Even being the fireman, even knowing the pitfalls as clearly as I see them literally every single day. I see them in front of my eyes every day. If I had it, I'd still fall to it. It's that potent. It's that powerful.
100%.
You know they're going to throw a right hook. You know he's going to punch you with a jab. You know it. All you have to do, and you know which hand he's going to use. And you know at what point in a fight he's going to use it. All you got to do is pay attention for 10 seconds and keep your hands up and you will win the match. You just don't have to get knocked out. I will lose that match. Yep. I will get knocked out. He will take me out. I'm that positive. I know I have all the information, all of it. Not only that, I know the warning signs if it starts happening to me. And I'm still too afraid. I'm still way too afraid. If I get involved in it, I know I'm going to get sucked in just like everyone else. Just like everyone else, even though I've seen all of that. I'm still going to get sucked in. I don't have the knowledge of what it's like to be on there out of choice, out of fear. It's not because I'm too busy or no, that's not why. It's because I'm not insane and I would never put myself in that position.
Very good.
It'll kill me.
It's just understanding the gedder of what to put around us. And yes, I think that we're going to have another podcast because we are just about an hour at a time on this one.
Yeah.
We're going to have another podcast, Bezrat Hashem, yes, I think, in talking about the control. Meaning right now, what we discussed today in this podcast was just the warnings,
it's really important.
What it is, the psychology behind it. But there's the Lamaisa. Okay, Rabbi Ben Shushan's, fantastic. You gave us a little bit more of a clarity and what to think about, what to chew on when it comes to this. But yes, there's another element completely, which is number one, the lack of social skills that affect everybody with this, what they're coming out with. That's a completely different podcast, I think, to talk about the lack of social skills and how to build the social skills for our children and ultimately how to have it. Meaning, and with this is going to be my last thought, and then you can end off with a thought. If somebody said to me, Ari Ben Shushan, for whatever reason, the thing that the whole world has today is they live with a hungry tiger in their house. They live with a hungry lion inside their house. It's just the coolest thing now, and everybody has it, and you have to have it, and your children have. My first question would be not what to feed it. Now, how do I make sure it doesn't murder me in the face? How do I live with this thing? All right, I have to have it because an influencer told me I have to have it. I guess I have to have it. But what kind of chain? What do I do? When do I put it to sleep? All these different things. How do I live with this ferocious beast attached to me? Because, by the way, I'm taking it with me to work. I'm taking it with me to bed. I'm taking it with me everywhere. I need to know how to live with this ferocious, carnivorous animal. So, yes, I think we're going to have another podcast to really talk about finding, like you brought up once, the Rambam, finding the balance between them. Hey, Yossi, you want to finish off the episode?
I just want to close. Yeah, I want to do my close with the fact that I want to make one thing clear. I'm not trying to demonize technology or explain what do you call it. I think there's dangerous things out there, and I'm not talking about schmutz. I'm talking about losing yourself. But if you're a parent or anything really out there, you got to ask, why is that so able to happen? If we're going to leave ourselves open, we got to fight the other side. And this is why something like Meaningful Minute is so important. We got to fight the other side. We got to be able to have the other side be strong. So the fight has become bigger and greater. We have to spend more time with our kids. We have to spend more time learning. We have to, because he upped his game. The game out there is up. He has people working for him now to get us to go off or to not think. The biggest issue here for me is that we're not being ourselves. We're trying to find who best to be like. And that's the biggest problem. So I agree with you 100% that I don't think that we need to know that balance. But I think that balance, the type of advice given for that balance, or the type of work that a person will do for that balance, is something that would apply for everything. It's not just technology.
Right.
Let's
Very
not
good.
demonize technology as like it is the big problem we have. No, the big problem we have is that people feel so empty that they're going to find themselves in technology as opposed to working on who they are, developing who they are, or finding out who they are. They're going towards technology. So you can soar Meirah all you want and lock your kids in a basement and never give them technology. You're still not giving them the means to fight this war. You're not giving them anything. You still have to give them the means to fight that war, to find out who they are, to find out where they fit in, to find out that they're important for us, and so on and so forth. And I think that definitely comes, the reason I'm bringing this up is that in what you were saying, I don't think it has to just be focused around technology. I think that's an idea for everything. How does a person develop balance? I think it's a great, episode.
Bezrat Hashem. Okay, thank you so much for listening. I'm Ari Ben Shushan, my brother Yossi Ben Shushan. You have been listening to the 2 Cents Podcast, powered by the Meaningful Minute. All right, have a great day.